Happy Friday, guys. Welcome in to the McGinnis Pick Show. Andrew and Jeff here to bring you into the weekend, to start your Friday off on a great note, hopefully, and find some winners in CFL, MLB, NFL, whatever it may be. So really looking forward to talking to Jeff today. Of course, guys, you can find all of Jeff's work over at eastcoastsportsinvestors.com, at EC Sports Invest on X and YouTube. But guys, it is the 10-year anniversary of Wager Talk. And because it's the 10-year anniversary of Wager Talk, we have a great promo going for just 3 more days, and that is 10-year, TENYEAR, 10-year. Use that promo code on any package, whether it's 90 days, 1 full season, whether it's NHL, CFL, MLB, whatever it may be. You use that promo code 10-year, and you're going to save 30% off any package of your choice. So, guys, I'm pumped up right now. It is a 10-2 MLB run, and we're on an 8-1 CFL run. So, look, I'm always in a good mood on Fridays, always in a good mood, ready to work with Jeff. But 10-2 MLB, 8-1 CFL, feeling pretty good right now. I hope Sean Alvarez is watching because, yes, Sean, I am rocking the Jays hat again. It's a bad hair day again. We just got in from walking the dog, so we are wearing the hat. But let's not waste any time. Let's get Jeff in here. Jeff, happy Friday to you, my friend. How are you?
I don't know where to start. First and foremost, of course, happy Friday to you and all the people watching and listening. 10-year anniversary, something special, something to be proud of because in these lanes in social media, you can be whoever you want. I can be, 28 years old, 6'4", and Adonis here when I'm almost 58, no hair. And my point is, you guys are on the 10-year anniversary. January 1st, 2015, ECSI was created and debuted on social media. So we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary. It's kind of real nice how you and I and Wager Talk have worked together. The end game, Andrew, is simple. Win, grin, and profit. That's what we're all about here. And for most people in these lanes, it's a step on your throat and step over you, where that's not the way it works here.
Well, there's so many people competing, right, on social media, and we all have the end goal. We all want to build together, and we're working together. And yeah, I mean, social media can be such a good and bad thing, Jeff. That's my beef with it. That's my problem with X, because you see one day people are all getting along and helping each other out and cheering each other on, and the next day people are going after each other because they're walking around giving out picks. I mean, I film myself all the time walking around giving out picks. I didn't think it was a thing I had to patent or anything, but that's for a whole nother day. We don't want to jump into that because we don't want to get involved in that. But we've got some MLB we're going to discuss a little bit here today. I have been looking at the CFL team totals a lot more this week, Jeff, but I'm curious where your head is right now as far as that's concerned. And college football, I'm not sure if you're going to get involved this early. There was one play that someone fired off to me and said maybe it could be interesting, 1 or 2 games, but I feel like sometimes it's so nice, whether it's NHL, MLB, NBA, whatever it is, to be able to take a big breath and watch everybody else go crazy and sweat out what they're going to sweat out. And then you can jump in when you're ready. But we'll see if Jeff's got anything for us for this weekend. But why don't we start with CFL? Because that's what you and I talk all the time, especially on Mondays. Last night, making American headlines everywhere. And you know what? I got a problem with it too. A game finishes after a missed field goal. I got to get your thoughts on that, Jeff.
I want to just trickle back to the greatest tweet yesterday amongst that mess of walking bets was Gabe Morency, your good friend, colleague on Sports Grid. Of course, the Rage himself, Mr. Sports Rage. If anyone copies my sit-down talking bets, I am gonna. We talk about walk-offs all the time. Walk-off grand slam, walk-off errors, walk-off wild pitches, walk-off pick sixes. I never, ever have seen a walk-off missed field goal and win the game.
I know, and I'm going to be honest with you. You know that I follow the CFL like no other, and everybody out there knows how much I love the sport. But for about a half a second, when he missed the field goal, I forgot about the rule. So I was like, "You've got to be kidding me! They missed that. Saskatchewan's going to get the ball back, or they're going to go to overtime? No, they're not going to go to overtime." Because he's not going to be able to leave the end zone because the ball went past the end zone. And that's how it ends. And even you can see the players. There was a slight delay for some of the players to start celebrating. They were like, oh, man, he missed. And then some of them start raising their hands. But, the good thing is about that the kicker, and I can't even pronounce his name, Harun Lahu. I don't know how to say his name. Anyway, it's a tough last name, but you could tell that he had CFL experience. He was in the league for a long time, and he actually, I believe, had a short NFL stint, or he tried to move on, came back. But you can tell, Jeff, by the way he kicked that he wasn't kicking it like it was a 35-yard chip shot, was he? I mean, he was saying to himself, if I miss this, I'm going to miss it like a CFL kicker should miss, and we're still going to get the 1 point. And that's what he did. And there's one thing I will say to people is, special teams is so important in the CFL. And I know the rule is stupid. It's a weird rule, but it goes to show, like, when I was younger, I used to go watch the university in Halifax, where I live, their football games, and it's the school that my dad went to. And I used to hate watching because there was so much punting. And even though they throw the ball a lot more in Canadian football, there was so much punting, and it would bother me. But the older I got, the more I realized it was like a chess match. If you get past the 50-yard mark and you're on the 40, you realize, okay, you want to take a long field goal, or do you want to punt it and pin them deep? And you realize, the first quarter and a half, it's a chess game. Trying to figure out field position. And I like that about the CFL. Kicking is important. Having a good punter is important. But there's just something so crappy about seeing a game end that way, Jeff. But nonetheless, Toronto wins it by 1 point. So the Rough Riders continue to fall. They're having a rough go right now. Even with Trevor Harris putting up phenomenal numbers, they're still struggling a little bit here. And coaching is a thing that I've been looking at a lot more lately. And Bobby, who I work with on Tuesdays, he's not shy to call out coaches for not milking the clock, not going for it on third. A lot of people think CFL coaches should go for it more on third. Any quick thoughts on that game? And why don't we, if you don't have any, why don't we dive into tonight? But any thoughts on that game overall?
Well, again, to how it ended, if this was Kansas City versus Baltimore in 2 Thursdays, obviously the fix would have been in. How can Tucker or Bucker miss that, yet win the game? Again, hey, we won by 1. I don't care if we didn't cover. In other words, I think the number landed on 3, right? Wasn't that the closing number? Or 2.5? So again, people that played the spread there would be scratching their head saying, hey, Toronto minus 2.5. Make this field goal and I covered the game. And so, again, it's quirky. It doesn't happen often. I mean, probably one of the most historic missed field goals, Alabama and Auburn, when Alabama lined up for, like a 58, 60-yard, or however long it was, to, if you miss, well, we're just going to overtime, and Auburn returns the ball all the way back for a 105-yard touchdown and upset Alabama there. So again, I talked to you earlier this week. I talked to you last week. The thing that really befuddles me is the 3rd and 1s. So many times they're punting, but as you talked about, they're playing the field position game. And again, we watched last week someone return a missed field goal 118 yards. And I'm just like, come on, guys. I mean, that's the problem. So there is a little chess and checker match going on there. Again, one of the oddest endings that I've ever seen. I'm like, oh, MG. But, hey, that's the CFL. That's the game we live in. So I'm ready, brother.
Well, and I'll tell you what, they're not ready to change those rules anytime soon. That's for sure. It doesn't really sound like they're ready to make any moves. They like it the way it is, and as much as it kind of causes some problems and goes all over social media, they're not ready to change those things. Chad Kelly made his debut, so he's 1-0 on the season for what it's worth. I thought he looked okay. I thought it was as expected, slow start for him, but he got it going in the second half. But those two teams are really close, and I will say this. Everyone's talking about BC. Everyone's talking about Winnipeg and some of those teams. I do think still there's value on Saskatchewan Grey Cup. I think there's value on Toronto Grey Cup. I think you look at Winnipeg right now. We'll get to them in a minute, but their Grey Cup odds to me. I mean, they're a team that's been there so many times the last handful of years, Jeff. For us to get these numbers here, that's a little bit puzzling overall to look at. But my free play of the day and a free play of the week, I should say, in CFL was taking the Ticats plus 9.5 points. And it was one of those plug your nose, close your eyes, go out for a walk during the game because you probably don't want to sweat this one out. Well, I got about a half-point CLV because I saw one book has it down to 9. And then oddly enough, I saw a few that have 10 and 10.5. And how often do you see that, Jeff, where these books are such on different pages? I don't know if it's probably just money coming in, but what are you seeing with the team totals on these teams?
Well, I'm looking at this game, and what I've seen most of the week is the Hamilton team total just keep drop. The numbers, the way I read the market is again they're really telling us that Winnipeg's going to dominate this game. They're going to win by at least 10. My numbers here are showing me that they expect them to get that 30 burger that you've talked about at length, where Hamilton's on next up versus whoever will pencil them in for 30 plus. We've been talking about this Winnipeg team. Started slow, got a couple wins, a hiccup, come off the bye. They're starting to put things together here, and this is the perfect storm. Hey, no playing grab ass here. Let's get in, let's get out, let's take care of business. On paper, this is set up for that 33-17, if that. I mean, I think Winnipeg has an opportunity not just to get their offense in the right mode here and in gear. It's a good spot for their defense to start to pick up here as we're in the second half of the CFL season.
I'm already disgusted with myself for being on the Ticats, Jeff. I don't know what else to say. I'm already disgusted with myself. I mean, you're right. This is an opportunity for them. And when I was on Wager Talk today, the flagship Wager Talk show, obviously those guys, Prez falls it a little bit. Teddy, not really, but he always tries to give some follow-ups. And, of course, he's looking at me and he's like, come on, man, you're gonna take the, get the points here with this team that's getting blown out against everybody. I mean, really, it's hard for me to make a case. It really is. But one thing I've been strong on all throughout the week when I've been trying to build a case for Hamilton has been, and you kind of mentioned it's a chance for them to get their offense going, but the defense has been Winnipeg's MVP. Start of the year, their offense was struggling. The defense was okay. Offense has slowly gotten better and better with the bye weeks and, the running game getting going and things. But I always correlate these two words, unders and underdogs. And it's not like we're getting a 3.5 here. We're getting 9.5 points is at least what I got. So when I see a team that's had 1 over on the year and 9 unders, and then I see the team they're playing getting 9.5 points, I want to be on that side. And I think that those two things do correlate. Like you said, though, it could be just Winnipeg saying, all right, it's our turn. Everybody puts up, 33 spot, like you said, on Hamilton, and they're going to do it too. And I try not to get too involved in these storylines, but Jeff, I can't help myself sometimes. In every league, I have to bring this stuff up. But remember when I said to you last week or 2 weeks ago about Bo Levi Mitchell's kids making the lemonade stand because their dad lost his job? Well, he's back in the starting position because the backup got hurt in his first week. So good news for you, Bo. Your kids don't have to make money for you with selling lemonade this week. But if you don't have a good start this week, you might not be on the team next year, or they might be coming for your job. So I'm curious. Let's just say that they get blown out. Let's say they lose by 14 points tonight. What do you think happens for Hamilton the rest of the season? Because there's still so much time in this CFL season, Jeff. It's a long year, and this is the point in time where you see a lot of people that were betting it on Twitter stop betting the CFL, right? And this is the time where we can make some money with it. Like, are they going to be a team that we can make money with down the stretch, or are they just a fade? Because I said last week, I'm fading this team every week, and I woke up on Monday and I liked the 9.5, but can we make money with some bad teams down the stretch in the CFL from the experience you have following the league?
100%. It's just a matter, does the market correct itself? And this is the game, because Winnipeg, don't forget, came into the season, their team totals were 27.5, 28 and a half. And as you said, it was their defense. Their offense was putrid. It's a 30 and a hook today. And so again, Hamilton has a big reason for that. And so if the final score here, Andrew, is 24-17, well, yeah, they won. A, they didn't cover, of course, and B, it's still a problem with their offense. This coaching staff has got to say, hey, if we can score 40 today, let's score 40. So Hamilton did win 2 games in a row early this season. Okay, now a blowout loss, 40-10 here. They've now become, of course, the Elks of old, and the books are now going to start to, that 9.5 probably will be 10.5, 11.5, 12.5. So you're just playing the contrarian side here again. 1-9, as you said, or whatever the number was to the unders. So that correlates. Give me the 9.5. And it's going to go under here, which obviously we'll find out. But this is a big follow along here, and let's see how this plays out. And then on Monday, when you come back on my channel, that will be the lead story here. How did this play out? Did Winnipeg wake up to last year's team in the years in the past, get the offense cranked up, defense holds Hamilton to 13 points, or was this a 20-20 back and forth, and they walk off and win by 4?
And one more angle to mention: the Blue Bombers 25-0 on August 1st against the Lions, and 20-11 last week against the Lions. We always try and find flat spots in the CFL. I'm not sure if there are many of them, but when you just beat the crap out of one of your rivals back-to-back times, I guess one time wasn't that bad. Maybe there's some type of flat spot here, but you're right. One last question I'll ask you on this game. I don't want to spend too much more time on it, but I won't mind. Do you think it's a smarter, because I'm looking at it now and kind of being like, maybe that was the move. Do you think that it's a better move if someone likes the Ticats to play their team total? Or do you think, as you mentioned with that 24-17, they could still cover without reaching their team total?
Well, I'll tell you, this thing has been dropping worse than the stock market. One of my sites here on DraftKings has it at 19.5, and the one that I respect the most is Heritage, and they have it at 18.5, juiced over minus 20 cents. 28.5 for Winnipeg, 29.5 for Heritage. This has the making of 30-17.
Okay.
It really does. I would be very surprised if Hamilton got to the 20 number. So maybe it drops some more. If you could ever find a 16.5, or I think the number they're going to get to today is 17. I really do. And it's just a matter of Winnipeg. Do they get stuck on stupid at 26? Because I think this number is going to go to 10 by kickoff. I think the 27-17 is in play, but gun to my head right now, if you can get 28.5 on the Winnipeg side team total, that's the play for me today in this game. Just get to 29, and I don't care. Hamilton, you can score 30. I don't care. Just Winnipeg, get me to 29.
We can all win. But from the sounds of it for you, is I'm hoping on defense here in this one. So we'll follow along. This is going to be a fun game to follow along, because we'll see how both teams can play out here. And again, there's still talent on the side of Hamilton's offense. It's just all about their defense. shout out to Football Jesus. I always love this one, this name here. You had Argos money line, which was the right way to bet on them in the CFL because these things happen. Under Hamilton and Winnipeg was a good bet at earlier number. Now it's dropped. Yeah, I mean, taking an under in a Hamilton game is real tough, but I get it, because Winnipeg's defense has been strong, and that's true too, because the money line and this to me, I will give my 2 cents. It all comes down to volume. I'm sure you'd probably agree with me on this, Jeff. The CFL numbers are so wacky, and Bobby lost. Who I would do the show with, he had Saskatchewan. Couple weeks ago and lost with the -1.5. So, last night he took the money line and he ended up winning because of that Rouge. And, now we got Football Jesus saying the same thing. Would you say in the CFL that some scenarios it does make more sense compared to the NFL to lay the juice on these money lines? I mean, with these wonky numbers, I feel like the math doesn't math like it should in football numbers like it does in the NFL. You can't predict a score as easily in the CFL as you can in the NFL. You can't just say 27-24, this, that. One missed extra point sure changes the score, but when you've got the 1 points going every single game in the CFL, it makes a real difference.
1,000%. And I usually use. And again, I'm not the guy everyone knows here, especially you. I'm not the guy that runs to the window for the -145s, 55, 65, etc. A lot of our clients get squirmish if it's over, 130. So my point is a rule of thumb. I use in NFL, college football. I use it in basketball, college basketball. 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. I always suggest play the money line, leave the points on the board for just what happened here last night as well. So, you got to pay a little more juice. And what I do to all our clients, and I hope everyone here takes note of this, if the juice is too much, let's just say Toronto last night closed at -135. Okay? If the juice is too much, when you go to the window to place the wager, just use the risk button. So if you're $100 better, okay, instead of laying 135 to make 100, just use the risk button and you play your $100, and you're gonna win like you did last night. Yeah, you profit a little less, but the risk is still the same. So if you would have lost that game, you still would have only lost your 1 unit of $100.
Right.
And so instead of winning the $100, you won $70, let's say. But again, you don't want to get into bad habits, because you start laying 130s and 135s. Next thing you know, you're going to be going to the window and someone's -3.5 or 4, and you're laying the 160 or 165s, and that's when they really get you, Andrew.
And then all of a sudden you have to win a hell of a lot more than lose in order to turn a profit there. Jeff, I'm seeing at the Wager Talk live odds here, BC 24.5, Ottawa, same number for them, a little bit of a different price. Edmonton 21.5, 30.5 for the number one team, Montreal Alouettes. I've talked for many weeks about this Ottawa team, how they have turned it around, their home record in BC. Well, Nathan Rourke looked a little bit different than we're used to seeing him last week, but he only had a few days practice. What are the team totals saying to you for the rest of the week?
Team totals here. Again, we gave out BC money line early this week at ECSI VIPs. The team totals are kind of interesting here. Ottawa's team total now 24 and a hook, under -130, and BC's team total 24.5 -110 either which way. Again, I'll say it very easily here. First one to 25 wins this game. This is probably your classic 23-23 walk-off field goal, 26-23. I lean BC on that one there. Edmonton 21.5 today. Montreal 30 and a hook. Under -130. They're tempting you here. Two things here. I think actually, believe it or not, Edmonton can get to that 22 or better. If they were baiting you on the Edmonton team total, it would have been 20 and a half, not 21 and a half. So I think a lot of people will take the Edmonton team total under the 21 and a half there. So if you like the Edmonton side, I would just take their team total over the 21 and a half. And on the Montreal, 30 and a half, juiced under minus 130. For me, if you want to get into this game today, I'll take the plus 110. I will go to bat with Montreal team total over 30 and a half, and you're giving me plus 110. Get to 31. I don't care what the Elks do after that. I don't care. Get me to 31. Give me my plus 110, and we're moving on.
And I think that's the best way to play that game. It really is the best way to play that game and you hear a lot of people talk about that mindset, Jeff, in college football, because especially with a point spread like that one, especially with the way it's moved in and around these key numbers, we've seen 7.5, 7, 6.5, all these different numbers. Just put the points up on the board, and that's all we ask of you, Montreal, because and honestly, I wouldn't mind a full game over in this game because Edmonton's a team that will not go away. They will continue. They're the kings of garbage time touchdowns. That might have zero impact on the game, but they're going to help you out with your over. And, one thing I will say, Montreal does care at home, Jeff. They do. And I think I said on your show that I liked the 7.5 if I could get it with the Edmonton Elks. But now I'm just thinking to myself, what's that old saying I used to say to myself? And it was, if you like Edmonton, play the over. And this is one of those ones where Edmonton will not even sniff the point spread unless they're putting up a ton of points as well. So I think that is the move to make here in this one. Jeff, what are you noticing right now in Major League Baseball? Because I've heard a lot of people talking about runs. We're seeing these pitchers on bad teams just continue to get sent out. Yesterday, I was getting a little bit worried about my popular over pick because I know everybody was on it as well with me when Patrick Corbin looked like a Cy Young candidate for 4 or 5 innings, but his counterpart didn't look very good, so we got over the total in that one. But we're starting to see some runs, and I'm sure that's good for you and your clients.
Yeah, we were on an amazing run. The R word hasn't stepped in. Again, we were on that 33. What was it? We were plus 21 games our last 45 games.
Last
week we were plus 1.5 units, and this week right now we're on that Mendoza line. 2 nights ago had a beautiful 3-1 night, and yesterday 0-1. So the board, you're spot on because there's a lot of teams now that can't wait to see October 1st. They're done. They're tapping out, and it's 162 games here. And when you got to get up every day and go to the ballpark and you're 18, 20 games out, your starting pitching's only going 3 or 4 innings. The middle guys are exhausted, never mind the bridgies and the closers. So you're starting to see a lot of these back ends just like, guys, I don't know what you want from us. We ain't got it. It's almost like watching the movie Major League and the coach is coming out. He goes, I've given them everything I got. I ain't got anything left. So yes, keep an eye on those team totals if you can get some plus money. Keep an eye on the overs. Now, don't run to the window and blindly start playing overs. You got to look at the matchup. You got to see how the team's been performing, but most of all, how the back end's been performing. Did they trade away a bunch of guys at the All-Star break? Is there a lot of injured guys? Is there some youth back there on pitch counts and inning counts like Scooble and a couple of others? Paul Skeens, when they going to pull the plug on him? So again, while everyone is getting excited, week 0, college football's here. Next week number 1, and then next, Thursday night football, Friday night football in Brazil, and the first NFL Sunday.
My Packers will be in action there. They're traveling, and I love what you said there about the restrictions. Which pitchers are on a time count, and which pitchers are they just sending out there to just eat up some innings? And Johnny Cueto was a guy that I talked about fading, and when I looked at kind of his numbers, no matter where he was the past few years, it was not going well. No matter which minor team he was on, wasn't going well. And then I started diving deeper into the headlines, and it's like, oh yeah, every other guy is hurt right now. They just need an arm, and it's very different, Jeff, because naturally hockey's the sport that I love and follow the most, especially from a betting perspective. You're not seeing a guy come up from the minors unless he's been really doing well down there. Sometimes, yeah, there will be a bunch of injuries, but you're allowed to carry a lot more guys lately on your NHL team. So you've got 3 or 4 guys up in the press box every night that are just healthy scratches. So a lot of times the guys that are getting called up, it's because of their skill. In MLB, it's like, hey, we're calling you up, but we just need anybody who wants to come up. And that's what I found out about Johnny Cueto, it seemed like.
Yeah, and September 1st, don't forget the MLB will be able to enlarge in their 24, 26-man roster, as now they can bring up some youth. They can bring up some guys that are been stuck in the minors forever, just to get a peek of what they got the last month for next year in spring training, etc. So they will be expanding the rosters. You'll be seeing a handful of new faces and arms back there. So again, just honestly, the books know exactly what's going to happen. You're not going to all of a sudden, because football's here, get a under over a Corbin versus Canning at 6.5 or 7. They're not going to fall asleep at the wheel that much. But just keep your eyes on it, because there's pennant races here. There's teams that need to keep winning, and again, they're 2-3 out of the wild card. So while everyone's worrying about Miami of Ohio versus Northern Illinois, here you got the Yankees and the Jays battle, and here you got Cleveland and the Twins battle, and no one cares anymore.
And man, oh man, this Jays bullpen drives me crazy. It cashed a ticket for you the other night, though, on the red. I couldn't believe it, because it was a rare money line for you, right? Oh, look at the dance! I like it. You had the money line, didn't you? And you're usually a team totals guy, so I was like, oh, he already won no matter what. But then you needed like 13 runs. Couldn't believe that.
Everyone remembers the losers, okay? You go on a 9-1 run, and that's all they're doing is talking about the loss. Well, we had won the first 2 games of the night. We had lost the third one, and here comes the Reds Jays. And it was an overnight flip. Jays were minus 110. Reds go to minus 116, I think it was. I says, I'm going to stick with the flip here. And Jay's up 3-0. Jay's up 6-0. I send you a text, and I'm like, okay, here come the Jays. I mean, just of course, I'm again. And next thing you know, you send me an eye emoji. It was 6-6. And then I said, no, it's 7-6. And again, they win the game 11-7. And again, the Jays traded off some pieces. Their back end is brutal. So again, I've been looking to try to pick on some of these teams with no back ends. And as you're right, I don't do a lot of money line full games here. I'm a team total guy, but I took the flip versus the team total. I wouldn't have had to sweat the team total. But again, it was that 4.5 juiced over minus 130. I'm not running to the window to lay the 130 there. And I had faith in your Jays back end doing what they do best.
Oh,
and
man.
It was a nice night that night.
If you don't think I'm cheering for you, Jeff, I am, because we have a late dinner in my family. It was I think 7:30, 8:30, whatever it might have been, and I'm talking at the table about the Jays being up, and everyone's looking at me thinking, why aren't you happy? And I'm cheering for you, and I go back and I see that it's like 6-6 now. Are you kidding me? And then I'm texting you while I'm at the table, so I was all excited about that. But we'll get to some picks from you in a second, but we both definitely are really thankful for everybody watching right now. And last week, Jeff, we got our most views on YouTube we've had since we started doing these on YouTube. So appreciate it. Hopefully we can keep growing this. The numbers, it's quality, not quantity. And we've got a lot of great people that are watching, whether it's on X or Twitter. And Jeff's doing shows multiple every day. So you guys can find him on YouTube, on X, East Coast Sports Investors. So really appreciate you doing this with me, Jeff, on Fridays. I really like it. And we have people that are starting to realize that we're here every Friday, which is a good feeling, because that's why I always say it's better not to overstretch yourself out the gate with some of this stuff. And I said I wanted to do more videos, and we have been, and people know where to find you and I on a Friday, which is really nice. But do you have any picks? You don't have to give out too many, but anything you can give us for the MLB slate?
I do. Well, I'm looking at it. I also want to make sure before you cut us short here, which again, we're never short here. You know that. We always bet the over. I have two nuggets to keep an eye on tomorrow in the CFL. Okay, and so I get the team totals up right now for the MLB. The one curious thing, very simply, is that there is no 5.5s there, which is usually a nice go number here. 7:10 in my backyard. Arizona is playing the Red Sox. A couple notes here. Bayo pitching for the Sox. The Sox historically this year have scored a boatload of runs. In comes Arizona's playing as hot as the Padres and anyone else. They bring in Mr. Nelson here. It's a 10. Okay, I would rather have the Red Sox team total 5.5 juiced under so I can get plus money on them. But currently at both sites I look at, they got 4.5s over minus 35 cents. Now Nelson's been pitching real well of late. Him and Fat have done well, and that's kind of helped their big run here. So anyone on your sites, if you do see eventually today the Red Sox team total go to 5.5, and you can get that plus money, please take that there on the Red Sox here. I'm not here to advocate minus 135 for them over 4.5. So again, I think they're going to score a touchdown today. I really do. So, but I'm just trying to stay low keyed on that one there. There was one more here. Phillies at Kansas City. They limp to Kansas City after losing 2 out of 3 in Atlanta. This Philly train was a wagon the first half. They've really struggled the second half here. Taiwan Walker versus Michael Waka. And for me here, the opening number here, so I don't give out the wrong number to everyone watching here. Kansas City's minus 134. So right there's a sign that's telling me, whoa, I think the public's eyes will be on the Phillies today. I can get the Phillies plus 123. Are you kidding me? I think Kansas City's going to win the game. I do. But my angle here is if you like the Phillies, you can get their team total over 4.5, and you can get it at plus 110. So even though they're a dog.
Love that price too.
Yeah, I think we're going to be in one of those high-scoring affairs. You know, you score 2, I score 3, I score 3, you score 2. It's an under-over right now. Let me see here. It's a 9 juiced over 25 cents. So, again, there's a lot of ways to play that game there. But, again, I think both teams are going to score. They're baiting you to take the Phillies tonight to win the game. If you like the Phillies, take the plus money on them to get to 5 or better.
I like that. I like that one quite a bit. That one was when I was looking at the board earlier on just the Wager Talk odds, not even the pitchers, matchups, anything. That was to me like that's a Jeff special. That's what I might like. And the Brew Crew let me down yesterday. The Brew Crew that was one that I thought was a perfect number. That was I loved the team total. I loved the plus money we were getting, like the pitching matchup, and they just couldn't put up some runs after they used them all the night before, it seemed like, for us. But the best part, though, about those team totals at the plus money, you're not losing 1.23 units. You're just losing 1. And the best part about it as well is that if that team does lose and you get over your number, doesn't matter to you. All you want them to do is just win, baby. Just win. Doug Reed says, good to see your growth, Andrew. That's not your height. Yes. It is good. I want to grow the channel. Forget about the height. I want to grow the channel a little bit more. So, Jeff, anything in college football? How do you approach it? All I hear from people, and this is not from my own brain, I'll say, but all I've heard is that people have been less and less scared to lay points in opening weeks. Whereas in my head, I think about the NFL that underdogs and unders always seem to do well early on. Is that correct? That sometimes favorites get the job done early?
I think I call it the carrot, okay? Because now it's NFL and college football season. So in our lanes, after the Celtics won the championship, after the Panthers won the Stanley Cup, most people wave the white flag. There's some that try to grind out to the All-Star break, Andrew, and then usually the kids are out of school. You have a cottage in Halifax, you got a cottage on Cape Cod. Hey, your wife, your girlfriend says, "Can you do me a favor? Can you take the next 6 weeks off?" And you look at her and you're like, "You know what? That sounds like a great idea. And football's coming. I win every year in football. I'm going to tear them up." And the funny thing about football is usually the first couple weeks you do see the favorites and the overs come in. And I call it a carrot because the books want you there all football season. They want you there playing throughout till 2025 and through the playoffs and the Super Bowl. But generally, what happens is everyone blows their bankroll in the first month. So the first couple weeks, when the favorites and the overs start coming in, you start to feel a little more confidence. So the $50 better now is a $75 or $100 better. The $100 better now is a $200 or $300 better. Where 95% of the world, the 25, 50, maybe $100 betters. Those tickets for 500, 1,000, 10,000. There's a thing called Photoshop. I know some people do bet that much. Don't get me wrong, but it's again, it's a theater of the mind. It's all up here. It's social media. So there's two big time football games tomorrow: Florida State and Georgia Tech in Dublin, and Florida State was as high as 13 and a half. It's now down to 10 in some shops and 10 and a half. Okay? Ask yourself this question. Why is Florida State still favored by 6.5 or 7 in the first half? The numbers don't add up, do they? So if you like Florida State tomorrow and the whole world has shifted that number to 10, take Florida State first half. If you can get 6, 6.5, do it. That number hasn't moved for a reason. Wink, wink. That's number one. Number two, SMU, Nevada. I can't get a team total number yet. SMU can score 70 if they want tomorrow. They can score on every drive if they want tomorrow. So when that number comes out, I will be on SMU, most likely team total over. But again, that game, I think they're 24-point favorites or 23.5-point favorites. A number that started at 27, now down to 24, say. How come they're 13.5 or 14-point favorites first half? The number hasn't moved. So again, if you like SMU tomorrow, take them first half minus 13.5. I'm waiting on a team total. It'll probably be in the mid to high 30s. Most likely I'll be on that team total of SMU over as well.
Love the info, Jeff. And do you think that that's because of backdoor covers, or it's just people aren't paying attention to that market as much? I've seen you pull that a few different times, and we've had success with it. And when I say we, I mean me following your bet and making money with it. But is that because of the backdoor cover? Is that because the market doesn't pay as much attention to the first half versus the full game? Are the recreational and public players not logging on and looking at the first half numbers? Are they intimidated by that number? Why does that strategy work so well?
All the above. You just nailed it. Because the public is lazy. They look at when they go to the window at 11:30 after they watched game day, and they listen to Pat McAfee, and I don't know if Lee Corso's going to be back this year putting on the hat and moving numbers. Again, it's pick a side or pick an under over. They don't go and look at the first half numbers. They don't go and look at the team total numbers. So we call that peeling the onion layers back. And so if the wife or the girlfriend's gone for the day and I can sit on the couch and bet on football, why am I going to do a first half when the game's going to be 3 or 4 hours old? In other words, I want to sit on the couch at 12 and I want to watch the whole game. Therefore, I'm not playing a first half. I got to make sure I got action on the whole game. So we alleviate the back doors, number one. Number two, if you're up by 30, right? Sometimes you take the foot off the gas. Sometimes you get second and third string guys in there. And next thing you know, your 30-point lead is now 17. So SMU doesn't cover. Florida State, again, go back to that original number, 13.5. Wouldn't be shocked if they won by 14-17, but now it's down to 10.5. And again, so anyone that wants Georgia Tech, you're getting a bad number right now. And if you like Florida State, you're getting a good number. But ask yourself again, if the number's 10, why is the first half numbered 6.5 or 7? Because Vegas knows. Now, it's not a lock. We don't use the L word here. There's no such thing as locked here. But we can read the market pretty well here. And again, it's telling me Florida State first half, SMU first half.
And one thing you've taught me, which everybody should already know, and I've learned more and more from you, Jeff, is about respecting the books. And a lot of people don't have respect for the books. And all the people on social media, all the people around, they think they're smarter than them. They've got the edge over them. They know the injury reports before the books do. And we can tell you, maybe the CFL or some smaller schools in the college world, but most of the time, the books know everything that we all know as well. So what Jeff's doing is reading between the lines of what they're trying to tell us and turning a profit because of that. Hopefully we can both have a great weekend. All right, Jeff, now's the time where I kind of throw you that hook, as you always say to me, and ask what you have going on, because you're doing UFC shows, you're doing golf shows, you're doing all kinds of stuff, and you've been on a heater. So I really respect it, and I try to do the same thing myself where, hey, if people don't want to purchase the gym membership, at least tune into the shows, right? Watch the shows, subscribe, leave a like, say hello. But, of course, the opportunity is out there for anybody that wants Jeff's picks to head over to the website, right?
Yeah, and obviously I'm blessed and honored to be a part, you and I here. We've been working together for a long, long time. We got a lot of things up our sleeve for the rest of this year, heading into 2025, so make sure you're following both of us there. And I couldn't have said it any better, Andrew. Here's Mr. Saylor. San Fran is playing starters tonight while Las Vegas isn't. San Fran -2.5 and over 6.5. Yeah, well, it does. I think, Mr. Saylor, you might be onto something there. So, the point I'm trying to make here is we're coming up on 10 years as well. And you go to our website at eastcoastsportsinvestors.com, okay, and you click on plans and pricing. You're going to see a price there for $375 a month. That's the same price that I used January 1st, 2015. It doesn't change. I don't change. That number doesn't change. But what we have done to try to get people to come on board is we call it an ECSI gym membership. It's $3 a day. You get all our work sent to you via text, on your cell phone, and an email, a breakdown, what our eyes are seeing in the market, futures market, ETC, UFC, golf, whatever it is, and we send it to you via email. Okay, it's $3 a day. It's $99 a month. You can sign up today, and you'll start getting picks today. You can stop it at any point, or you can be like 99 other people that have been with me since 2016 and 17. So it's $3 a day, and I say this in all honesty. If you can't afford $3 a day for the amount of work that we do, then probably you shouldn't be wagering. And we work our butts off just like Andrew do. We have hot streaks, we have cold streaks, but our goal is simply, to maintain. There's no good in winning 10 units this week and losing 15 the next week, okay? So we're here to help you educate with a little entertainment. That's what the shows are for. So head on over to eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can either follow me on X at EC Sports Invest. I'll follow you back. Send me a DM or send me an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com.
Love it. Jeff, you put in the work, you put in the hours, and one thing you guys can definitely count on, he's not forcing any plays, but you've got quite a wide palette there with a little bit of college football, of course. We've got a little bit of UFC, a little bit of golf. You've hit some outright winners. And, of course, we're jumping in with CFL this weekend. So, guys, for me, only thing I'm going to mention, that great deal. Promo code 10YEAR takes 30% off any package. We got a big play going tomorrow in the CFL. We got some plays going today in MLB action. We also have a great special with the 30-day you can use, but that promo code 10YEAR is applicable for any single package. Take 30% off. That's the way to go. I don't think anyone should be buying any daily packages right now when you can use that great promo code 10 years. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I definitely hit the over on this show and took a lot of Jeff's time, but I'm always in a good mood on a Friday. Thanks to Jeff. Thanks to all of you guys for being here. We'll see you on Monday on Jeff's channel.